Great.
Happy
Thank
to
you
help.
so much for joining me for this orientation. And please interrupt me at any time with questions. So I'm going to go through this part. Um,
Can you hear?
oh, are you having trouble
No,
hearing me?
we can hear.
It's
Okay.
loud enough? Okay.
I'll put a little bit louder. Okay. So our mission, and this started 16 years ago, so this isn't a new program. It started at Mecca Elementary. And what had originally started was a parish called Sacred Heart Parish in Palm Desert. They wanted to do something for the schools. And when they talked about what do you want to do, they were thinking supplies, backpacks, books, those types of things. And they went to the school, Roberta Klein and her husband, Clay Klein, and met with the principal. And the principal said, of course, we can always use those things, but what we really need is your English speaking volunteers to come into our schools, because so many of these children don't have somebody at home who could help them. So, and each of these classes are 20 to 25 children. The teacher can't give individual attention to any of the students.
Right.
So that's how the program got born, with that one school in Mecca. And now we are up to 15 schools.
Oh,
And right before COVID, we actually had 750 volunteers who did 24,000 hours in the schools in a year.
oh my
Wow.
Yeah.
gosh.
Now, even in COVID, we actually taught 250 volunteers how to Zoom, how to go into breakout rooms, how to share their screen so that they could help the students during that time. So the teacher would take a student and a volunteer and put them into their individual breakout room so that they could work one-on-one still. So, I mean, we kept the program alive even during the pandemic. So, I mean,
Great.
the Coachella Valley School District really believes in our program. And that's why we've been able to every year continue to grow.
It's wonderful.
So, our purpose is to instill the love for reading. We really need to support those early literacy skills, because guess what happened that pandemic year when they were Zooming, there were so many internet, problems. And these children had to get promoted. That was the way it went. And they might have gone into the second or third grade with only first grade reading skills. Because they were already behind to start with, and then they lost so much time. So it was so important. So we started last year wearing masks, and then by the end of the school year they stopped. But that was an optional requirement. As is this year, there are still students who go in with masks. So it's optional. If you choose to do that, you can. You don't have to. But it's still an option. But it's been really important for our volunteers to work with these students. So guidelines for volunteering. You've done the registration part. You've done the background check. You've done the mandated reporter training. And it's really heartbreaking to see that training. I have to tell you, it just.
Oh, it was terrible.
Yeah. And I think it's really important that they've changed it. When I first started with that district, it was pretty mild. They said, do's and don'ts, but by taking actual case studies, it really helps you to start thinking about what you might be seeing individually and how important it is to talk about that. So attendance, you will have, there's going to be a monitor that's set up for the Read With Me volunteers, and it'll be easy for you to go in and you put in your name and you hit enter. And then when you leave, you sign yourself out. So it's a very easy system. And for the first time you're going to go in, I'll be there to help you through that process.
Okay.
So yeah, that'll be easy. And so the importance of checking in and out, one is, so it's clear who's in the school. They're going to be taking your picture as well to give you a formal badge.
Sure.
So that's part of that as well. But the other thing about checking in and out is you remember earlier I said how many volunteers we had and how many hours. Well, it's important for us to understand how much time our volunteers are spending in the school with students, because we are 100% funded by grants and donations. So these groups that provide money want to know how much time is a volunteer actually spending in the school year. And then I'm going to go through the worksheet, which will tell more about how many students we're actually working with. Okay. Dependability. If something changes, it's okay, because they love us as volunteers. And number two, they know that things come up. Doctor's appointments.
Right.
Really,
I never go to the doctor.
you don't want to change a doctor's appointment, because as you know, if you change it, it may be months before you get your next appointment. So they understand that. But let's say on that particular week, you may be able to come in a different day. Something changed, you're available. You can talk to the teacher and say, hey, or text them or email them and say, hey, I have a doctor's appointment. I can't come in, but we're both free on Thursday. Can we come by on Thursday? And they'll say, yeah, or they'll say, yeah, just come in next week.
Okay.
So they understand us as retirees, right? And they understand we may travel and things like that, but they're so grateful for the time you give that so the key thing is, they need to know that you're coming in on a particular day, because they want to get materials together for you and so on.
Sure.
Okay. We're under the direct supervision of a teacher, and they'll assign the work, but sometimes you may find that the work is really too hard or too easy for the child, and you just let the teacher know, because you want to help the student, and if that is either too much or too little, it's important for you, and don't be worried about going back to the teacher and saying, Jose knows how to do this of, easy, so I need to challenge him with something else, or he really needs to go down one level because he's not getting this at all. So parents, we want you to dress appropriately. So communications, you're going to exchange information with your teacher, because let's say even if they don't have time to check email during a school day, but they will check the text if something comes up, right? So there's a couple of things. You can call the main office, and the main office will call the teacher, or you can text the teacher. So for instance, let's say you've got a flat tire on the way to school. You were anticipating going, but you're not going to make it now. You can either text the teacher, or you can get in touch with the main desk and let them know that you won't be able to get there because you had a flat tire. We don't discipline the students beyond maintaining order, but I can tell you I've never had problems with kids, because they're really so grateful for the one-on-one attention you're giving them, because they don't get that from the teacher. And excuse me. We've already gone through the training, so confidentiality. The student may sometimes share sensitive information with you, and why that will happen is, especially if you start seeing the same student time after time, you create a rapport and you talk back and forth about stuff. And it was one time with one of my kindergarten students. He said to me, oh, my uncle Michael got picked up for drunk driving again last night, right? And we had been exchanging information. I mean, we've been talking about his dog, different types of things, and he just said it. Did I think that was something that should be shared with the teacher? No. It didn't affect our session together. He sort of just said it. I said, no, I'm not going to share that information. But I actually was there, I think 4 years ago, when one of the students, I was the first to see her in the day, because I'd come at the beginning of the school day. Her mother had been picked up and by immigration, and the family thought it best for her to go into an environment that she knows and trusts. But she was so beyond herself. She couldn't, so I obviously told the teacher, and the teacher immediately called the counselor.
Sure.
come and be with her. So that obviously was something I needed to share with the teacher.
Right.
So,
Right.
so you will get, sometimes you'll get that type of information and you need to make a decision, you know. Obviously, if it's child abuse, you already know what you have to do.
Of course. of
Right,
course,
right.
Right.
Okay. Emergency procedures. These are the 4 situations that the children all know what to do. It's really kind of sad, but they know. One day I was in volunteering and they had a lockdown, intruder lockdown drill, but nobody knew it was a drill, right?
Right.
It was just announced. And, the teacher, the kids all knew what to do, bar the door, close the shades, move over into the center of the room, and then they just continued their session. And I'm sitting there with my poor student saying, is this real? Is this not?
Oh my
But
gosh.
anyway, but it was a drill. And, it came over the loudspeaker a few minutes later that it was a drill. But the police wanted to observe what was happening and they wanted to check things out to make sure everybody knew what to do.
Sure.
So, and it's sad to think about it, but these students all know what to do in an emergency. So I would say your main focus is going to be follow the lead of your teacher, because the teacher will tell you what to do. Now, if they have to evacuate the classroom, they may have you in the back of the line to make sure the kids don't leave, right?
Right.
So you may have to herd the cats, keep them all in a straight line. God forbid if it's an earthquake, but these buildings are designed to withstand earthquakes, but God forbid something happens and the teacher is unconscious. Your role would be to get the kids that are able to out of there,
Right.
and then you'll be outside the classroom and then you can direct emergency personnel to go into that. So you're going to use your common sense sometimes if the teacher is incapacitated. You will never be, one of the things, you will never be alone with a student. Even if you're in a side classroom, the door is always open and the teacher can have a direct line with you. That's why
Sure.
we don't do fingerprinting, right? So that, because you're never alone with the child.
Good.
So, but anyway, so follow the teacher's lead in any type of emergency situation. We'll go over some of these reading strategies, but here's some thoughts. You could start by just taking a look, non-reader looking at the pictures and taking, identifying title and author and saying, okay, what does it look like this book is going to be about? You have the child read the text to you. You can partner together when reading. You could say it first, you can have the child repeat it after you, or you can have the child do it and then I'll tell you a funny story. I was doing an after school program where I was with two girls, they were cousins, and they would read like robots, right? Students and volunteers can partner together. And I said, is that how you guys talk? That's not how you're talking to me. Why would you read like that? And oh my God, these two girls decided that they would now try to outdo each other with feeling with their reading. And they would get up, one would get up with the passage and, say, my name is, and then they would proceed to read with feeling. It was really pretty amusing. And then the other one would go. But the thing that was heartening to me is that probably the next time I came in to volunteer, so this was an after school program where the first grade teacher might have first graders from multiple other teachers because they come after school for extra help. And the teacher who was in charge of the room came to me and said, the girls' teacher, said to me, what are you guys doing? They are reading so much better.
Oh, that's great.
So I was like, oh, I felt so good.
Yeah,
But but that's because you have this relationship you start establishing with these kids and they really know you're there for them and they're excited to do the best they can for you.
Well, that's great.
Yeah. You can it's also important to check to see, do they understand what they're reading? Because sometimes they may be able to read the English, but they don't know. So you could challenge them to get an idea of what could you do differently in this situation? So you can try to get an idea, do they really understand what they're talking about? So that leads to everything I was just saying. You're building a relationship with these students. You're making eye contact. Have that relationship and ask them how things went. And I know I always had a notebook with me to say, like, oh, Jose's birthday, one of them had a birthday that was like a day before mine. So the next time we got together, we all exchanged, like, how was your birthday? And, what was your favorite gift? So that way you can make sure that when you see them the next time, you can, ask them about something that's going on in their life. And they're so excited. So one of my other colleagues, when one of the little girls came in, she had her fingernails beautifully painted. And, Rochelle goes to the little girl, oh my goodness, look how beautiful your fingernails are. That smile on that girl's face was bigger than her face. She was so excited that Rochelle noticed that she had her. So things like that, don't be afraid to bring things up, because they know that you're now interacting with them as a person. So that's really exciting to them. So you're making them feel special and important there. And, I think, praise them often. Make sure you communicate clearly, because I saw this situation when we were doing the Zoom. I would sometimes pop into the volunteer Zoom rooms to check, and I realized the child was not understanding what the volunteer was asking of them. And so I sort of said, well, I turned something around a little bit, and then the child goes, oh. So if you see a blank look on a child's face, realize that they may not know some of the words in English that you're trying to use with them, right? So, okay. So let me just, and thank you. I mean, we can't thank you enough for taking the time out to work with these students. So let me stop this right here and go to the next thing I wanted to review with you, is to very quickly, excuse me, go through this video. Yes, I'm sorry, it's going to have an ad. Okay, here we go. We don't care about bras. Sorry about that. But that's what happens when you do YouTube links, unfortunately,
right.
these days, right? So let me share my screen. Now, the people you will be seeing in this video, which is where? Oh, here it is. And let me make this screen. So the first person you'll be seeing, the first two people are Roberta Klein, who started the program. And then you will be seeing with her Manuela Sylvester, who was the MECA principal at that time, and then went to the district office. So they were the two who really got the program underway. So the first part of this is repetitious a little bit, but be patient. It's only for a few seconds. And let me know if you can hear it properly. Can you hear? Okay.
No.
No, there's no volume.
Manuela Sylvester, Director of Elementary for Coachella Valley Unified School District.
Our mission is to assist local children from low-income, limited English-speaking environments develop to their fullest potential by learning to read, comprehend, and speak English, while understanding that people care about them as individuals.
Our purpose: to instill a love for reading, to support early literacy skills to prevent future illiteracy, build relationships with our students to motivate and connect with them, to model what good readers do, to empower our youth.
Hello, my name is Gracie Gutierrez, and I am the Director of English Learner Services with Coachella Valley Unified School District. There are a number of different ways that a volunteer can work with students. Some teachers have their volunteers work with students individually, while others have them work with students in small groups. All of the activities that will be described next can be done in both settings. Leveled reading. Every grade has books that are leveled. However, not all students read at that grade level. Leveled books at the student's instructional level can be used to target each student. Students can be grouped by similar or like levels. Teachers are generally the ones that create the leveled groups. Teachers determine whether students read their leveled books in small groups or individually with one-on-one volunteer support. Start by identifying the title and author of the book that you are given, as well as the type of book the students will be reading. Are they going to read a fictional book or nonfiction? Is it a fairy tale or perhaps a comic book? Engage the students in what we call a book walk, which means you go page by page, having discussions about what is noted on the pictures in the pages. You can make predictions about what the book may be about, and even point out words which may appear to be more on the difficult side for students to read. Students can read the story at the same time in a choral reading fashion, or they can read one page or section at a time by taking turns. The story may be paused as needed for students to engage in conversations about what they are reading. This allows you as the volunteer to check for understanding. Upon finishing the story, you may have the students write a quick summary of the story or answer questions about it. When having discussions with your students, always encourage them to respond in complete sentences, as this supports them with developing their oral language skills. Fluency practice. We want our students to sound natural when they read, just as if they were talking. In order to get to that level of reading, our students need constant practice with their reading so they can build their fluency. Fluency reading can be done one-on-one or with a small group. If done with a small group, then students read the same passage or story. Beginning readers may benefit from hearing the passage read and repeating it themselves afterwards. Better readers can work on prosody, which is intonation, expression, and reading with feeling. If fluency is your focus, it is important to give students multiple opportunities to read the same text so they can improve their reading rate. Phonemic awareness. Phonemic awareness is the ability to focus on and manipulate individual sounds in words. The individual sounds are known as phonemes. The stronger a student's phonemic awareness is, the greater chance there is to make a successful transition to reading written words. An example of how phonemic awareness can be practiced with students is to sound the individual sounds or phonemes of a given word and allow the students to put the sounds together to form the word. For example, the volunteer may say j, g, and the student would say jug. The opposite could also take place, where the volunteer states the word jug, and then the student breaks up the word into individual phonemes to say j, g. There are additional phonemic awareness activities that may be shared with you by the classroom teacher. Spelling word sorts. Many of the spelling words that students are assigned contain a focused spelling pattern that is being taught during phonics instruction, especially in the lower elementary grades. A great activity is to have the students identify the patterns in their words and then sort the words accordingly. Additional words that follow that same pattern can also be added. Once the words have been sorted, they can be read in a quick fashion to provide students an opportunity to build recognition of word patterns that they can identify in words in future texts. High frequency words. Unlike spelling words that have patterns and can be read phonetically, high frequency words follow no rules, and the only way for them to be read is for students to memorize them. Students begin the process of learning their high frequency words through repeated exposure of them. The words can be read off of a list or by having them written on flashcards and read one at a time. Each grade has a recommended list of high-frequency words that students must master. Literature circles. Literature circles are a perfect opportunity to build up our students' interest in reading for pleasure. These reading gatherings encourage students to analyze the reading and ponder and respond to prompts provided. Examples of what can be done include connections being made to the student's own experiences, endings being altered, or letters being written to one of the characters. The responses can be done orally to build language or in writing in a type of reading journal. Thank you for your participation in our Read With Me volunteer program.
Your support is greatly appreciated. Thank you. You make a difference.
Okay. So what I've provided to you in the information I gave you is the exact script for that video. So if you had any questions on what they were talking about and so on, you could go to that script and take a look at that. So
So
do you
send us a copy of this when you're done as well.
have this?
The
It is
vi-
a link. Yes, it's one of the links that's in that document I sent you. The link to this video is there.
Oh,
Oh,
perfect.
great.
Okay,
As
great.
well as the
Perfect.
script to this video.
Great.
So I'm just going to give you a couple of war stories. So flashcards. So these sight words, right? That list that was there isn't, some of them you say, wait a minute, they should know those, but that was just an example. I also sent you a list of other sight words, but so this was again in the kindergarten class. The teacher had all the sight words up on the wall, and the kids would all sit there and they would all do the sight words together, and then the teacher, for going into the room one-on-one with the child, gave me that same pack of the sight words, right? So I have a student I'm working with, and I start flipping through the sight words, and he's giving me all the answers. I was slow once, I'm old, I was slow.
Yeah.
And he said the next word. I said, okay, well, I pulled a card from the back of the deck. He had no clue, zero.
How
what
he
that was.
memorized it. Wow.
But now he had not just memorized it. He didn't memorize it with the sight. He just memorized what he heard.
Right.
And as soon-
Wow.
he couldn't tell me what the letters of the alphabet were. What's that first letter? He did not know.
Wow.
He couldn't even pronounce those words. So, but why was that? This is the kindergarten class, right? The teacher is doing everything as a group because a lot of these kids weren't with other kids before. So they all, and he was such a great participant in the class. He was shouting things out. He was doing the sight words. Now the teacher would have figured it out as soon as she did one-on-one testing and review with the child. But because, I went to the teacher after class and I said, oh, this is what happened. And she was shocked because she thought he was a great participant. Well, we had to then, I was just one of the volunteers in that classroom, because they can have a volunteer every day. They can only do one volunteer at a time in a classroom, but we now focused our attention to this poor child to teach the child ABCs and the sounds the letters made and everything.
Wow.
But you see, that was the advantage of us being with the child because we see what.
The one-on-one. Right.
Yeah.
Right.
I'll give you just one other example. There was a map inside one of the books we were saying. So I said, this is how you do it. You'd look at the legend and say, okay, here's the bathrooms. And then you find, you can see the bathroom on the map or food on the map or something. The child could not read the legend or see the pictures or the little pictures that were like the bathroom or something on that. He said, uh-oh. So I told the teacher, he got evaluated for
Jesus.
reading.
Yeah.
And the next time I saw him, he had glasses on.
Sure.
Unbelievable.
So it's like, that's part of the stuff we provide because we are spending this time, one-on-one time with him. So he
Right.
got identified for needing glasses pretty early on. So it's really, heartwarming when you can help things out.
Of
Sure,
course.
sure.
Right. So, you're helping him succeed as a student because you've now given him the tools to help him be able to read. So, anyway, so you can see how enthusiastic I am about this.
Oh,
Yeah, I
yeah,
love
absolutely.
that.
That's great.
So anyway, so let me now go through one more thing. And, this is, here we
I'm
go.
gonna grab a quick glass of water.
Please.
Water.
Please, please.
1 sec.
Yeah, give
I'll
me a
share
glass.
the
too, if you
screen
want.
for this. Let me just, I'm downloading this file so I can share it
No
with you.
problem.
Okay. Share screen, where am I? Here we go. So, this makes you can see this worksheet, right? You
Mhm.
have a copy of this worksheet as well.
Okay.
This goes back to also what we were talking about with our grant writing and trying to get money for Read With Me. What this does is it helps us know how many students you've helped, right? Because, do you need me to make that a little bigger?
No, it's okay.
No, it's
Yeah.
okay. And
Yeah.
I did this for affiliate too. I had to do this every week, so.
Right. So what you would do is you would put your teacher's name, the grade, your name here, and then you do the student first name and last name. And one of the things we do is, did you see them one-on-one, one-on-two, or a small group, and the date you saw the child? So, the last column you don't have to worry about. This is only if you were doing an after-school program or a special education program where the main teacher is not is a different teacher than the student's normal teacher. So this way we could know who's the homeroom teacher and the main teacher for the child. But that's what you would do, and you would put the date, when did you see the child? And then, each line would be for every student you've seen on that particular day. And so that provides us with also being able to say, not only did our volunteers spend, 24,000 hours, but they saw this many students. So it helps doing it. Now, this is the Desert Sands School District, and we're going to be working with them this year to do something that the Coachella Valley School District does. What CVUSD does for us is it will take the names of the students that we've worked with, and the students do testing, reading testing, the beginning of the school year, in the middle of the school year, at the end of the school year. And the district can take a look at what's the reading progress of the students who had Read With Me volunteers as well during the school year versus those that didn't. And we've seen like 50, 100%, more improvement for the students who had this one-on-one support. We're working with Desert Sands right now to have them also be able to do that with the Read With Me students. So right now, we're hoping that by filling out this form, we will be able to later on in the year, since they do the reading testing the same amount, they'll say, okay, hey, we would like to see the reading progress, and then they'll take this form and work with it. But so it's going to have two uses. One, how many students have you seen? And if Desert Sands changes and wants to do an assessment as well, they now know the students who have it. So we're hoping that they will do it. And at the bottom of this is, it's voluntary, but we ask you that because we do know that that's an important component of of the grants we write, how many students did you help out? Okay, overall. So if you finish, you can text the form to me, you can email it to me or mail it to me. If you need a copy, I can drop it off. Okay. So do you have any questions about this form?
No, not really.
Okay.
I just have a general question. So you are assigned to the same student every single time, or what is the process for
Okay.
that?
So you will more than likely, typically you may, depending on the grade level, attention spans are different, right? So the younger the grade, it may only be 20 minutes, but an older child can be with you for 30 minutes. So if you're there for an hour or an hour and a half or whatever, you may see 3 different students during that time frame, right? So it'll be up to the teacher, and because in a normal school environment, they are actually taking the student out of the classroom, the rest of the classroom, and you're on the side with them, working with them separately. So
Right.
It depends on how much the teacher wants that child to really get your support. So that way the teacher will decide, is it 20 minutes? Is it 30 minutes? We've had some teachers, if a child is really behind, do 45 minutes with a volunteer, because they know that they can't spend the
They need
time.
it.
They
Right,
want
they
you
need
to
it.
spend the
Right.
time, right?
So you spend the time with that particular child?
The whole time
The
through
whole-
the school year, or? do they
Again,
try
it's
to
gonna
do that to
it
get their
depends. You
relationship
will
with-
more than likely see that child multiple times during the school year.
Yeah.
But let's say the teacher identifies 6 students who really need extra help. So you may only see 3 one week, 3 the next week, and then the first 3 the following week, and the next 3 the following week. Right. So
Okay.
it may alternate. So it's going to be, sometimes the teacher has just 3 children that she knows have to spend a lot of time. You may see those same 3 children or same 2
Okay.
children every
So it
time.
depends. Okay.
Right, right. So that's going to be up to the teacher. And that's why we start the program a little bit later. We don't start when they first start, is because the teacher has to start understanding,
Figure it out.
Right.
figure out what the levels are and what the students really need.
It makes sense.
Right, right. So just to confirm, you want Wednesday mornings,
Yes.
right? So boy, I don't remember now what grades you said. What grades did you tell me? I don't have it.
I don't remember. Was it first grade? Kindergarten, first grade? I don't know, whatever. We don't really
Oh,
care.
both
Yeah,
of you.
Yeah.
Right?
So,
Yeah.
yeah.
So the lower grades, K 1, 2 at the
Yeah.
most.
Yeah. Oh, I
Yeah.
can go higher than that if you want.
Oh, you can, but you want, Vicky, you want younger?
I think so, because he has a little bit of teaching background, and I've
Okay.
never done anything like this. So
Okay.
whatever you suggest
Yeah.
is better.
Yeah.
Probably if they're littler,
Right,
more comfortable at the beginning. So.
right, right. Yeah. And
So-
those types of things like, so phonetics, again, this was kindergarten. I had listed down, I was doing me, he, she, be, and it was like, all of a sudden when the child realized, oh, the only thing that's changing is that first sound,
Mhm.
so what phonetics is really all about. And of course, this was a kindergarten boy. He goes to me, how about P?
Oh, gosh.
I said, well, P is P-E-E. No, I guess I asked him first, how do you think you'd spell it? He goes, P-E. So this is good because at least
Right.
he got the idea. And I said, well, in
Right.
this case, it's really P-E-E.
Right.
That became our little secret. So like if ask him, he goes me pee-pee, and then I go pee-pee, it's just a cute little thing, but
Right.
the whole point of that story is he got it. He got
Right.
the phonetics, right? And he
Right.
said, and of course, as a kindergarten little boy, what was his priority to know? Well, of course. So, so that's the type of thing that you would be doing in the younger grades. And I do that quite a bit, is, with the same sounds like cat, hat, mat, bat, right? I will write that out and help the child realize what's the difference. At stays the same.
Mhm.
Because you would see them as they're reading, they would go k, t, or k, or b, t. And, once they realize the at stays the
Yeah,
same,
right,
and it's just
exactly,
the first sound,
right.
it's just, and then you can just start with a whole bunch of other words, that have, similar, that have patterns like that,
Mhm.
at, and, yeah, so it's like, um, it's so that type of stuff. And as you're doing it, it like sort of comes to you. It's
Yeah,
like,
sure,
oh
sure.
yeah. So it's really it's really exciting. So I will put tell the schools that, so Wednesdays, younger grades and older grades, but
Right.
not up to, do you want to, how high up? They go up to 5th grade. Do you
I
want
go-
to?
He did fifth grade
I've
once.
done fifth
He's
grade.
really good with the older kids, I think.
Okay.
You know,
Oh,
he
good. So
coached
I,
Soccer and baseball and all that stuff.
oh, good.
Back
So,
in the-
so 4th, 5th grade for you?
That's fine.
Okay, good. Perfect. Perfect. I'm so excited. Do you guys have any other questions?
No, I think we're,
Dress code, so
Oh,
no
yeah.
shorts.
no shorts?
How, what, I
I
don't,
I would prefer no shorts.
no
Okay.
shorts, okay.
Yeah.
I can wear
So
a dress, I mean, I had,
you
some
don't have to wear a
dresses
dress. I wear pants.
Or pants, oh, okay, pants.
Hey,
Is
whatever
it-
you want. If you're a dress person, you can wear dresses, but I
Okay.
would prefer not shorts. But you know what?
Okay,
As you go through the year, you can see what, you can check with the teacher. What would you prefer, right?
okay,
You know,
yeah,
so,
yeah, more dresses than
Okay.
anything, so, okay.
but again, I've never worn a dress. I've always worn pants.
And I always wear dresses and I hardly ever wear pants.
But that's perfectly fine. That's perfectly fine.
Oh.
So I wouldn't have enough dresses in my wardrobe to change things twice. So, okay, do you have any other questions?
I think we're okay. I think, we'll learn as
We'll
we,
learn as we go.
as we go.
Right.
What's the
right.
start date that we
Well,
actually?
that's what I'm going to send, now that I've confirmed the times you want, or the grades you want. Oh, how early in the morning can you start?
Well, where are we going anyways? To what?
Martin Van Buren, remind me where you live.
Yeah, it was
Uh,
Van Buren.
Yeah,
We're Indio
we're by,
Coachella. We right by
we're by
Coachella.
Monroe and 52nd. Street.
Yeah.
Oh, okay, so this is, Van Buren is on Van Buren.
I know Van Buren,
Yeah,
yeah,
we know where that is. Okay.
Yeah, so that's just a few roads down from Monroe.
right, exactly.
Right.
Yep. So which development are you in if you're Monroe and 52nd?
Trilogy Polo Club.
Oh, you're at the Polo Club. Okay, cool. I'm Trilogy La Quinta. I'm at the.
Oh,
upper
okay.
Okay.
Oh, all right. Very
Right,
good.
do you know if, I would love to try to get more volunteers from Trilogy, the Polo Grounds. I mean, let me know if there's somebody that I can talk to that I can say, hey, would you like me to do an orientation for people there to try to get more
Sure.
people? I would
Well,
love.
we actually have a women's group called Women of Wisdom. We call it WOW.
Oh,
That was
neat.
started by a retired teacher.
Oh, nice.
And, I know there's some other volunteering going on all the time. Like we did
Mhm.
Ophelia last year, a bunch of
Right.
us. And so maybe I'll ask her if it would be helpful if you could come and speak at one of the meetings
Right,
to introduce the program.
right.
And it might get you some more volunteers.
Oh, I'd
can-
love that. I'd love that.
Sarah, I'll mention
Yeah.
that to her.
Great.
I also
Well,
think us going there too.
And us
talking-
going there and
Mhm,
talking
right.
about it will also get people involved,
Yeah, that's
so.
great. I'm so excited. This is
Yeah.
terrific. So I will get back to you as soon as the school assigns you to teachers.
Okay.
And
great.
I would think it'll probably take a week. This coming week, they'll probably, go through and check what the teachers are, but I would suspect the week after you'll be able to start.
Now, I
Okay.
am going to be out of town for 3 days.
Which week?
On the
San
26th.
Jose. I'm
Oc-
going to see my niece just moved to San Jose.
October
nice.
26th.
So I do have a 3-day trip.
It's
planned.
October 26th.
Okay.
26, 27,
27,
28.
So
Yeah.
do you have 2 cars? Are you able to go separately?
I'm
to
not going to be
one
here.
year?
I'm not going to be here. I'm going to be visiting.
No, but I'm saying.
I'll
can-
be available.
No, we want to
will
go
be.
the same day. We want to.
No, but I'm saying, can he come? to
Yes, I'll be
volunteer with-
available.
Yep, that's all I want to know.
Oh,
The day
yes,
we're not
yes.
there. Yeah, he
Yes,
can still do
correct.
his class. Great,
Yes.
Perfect.
absolutely.
Perfect. Okay, well, so thanks so much. Have a
My
wonderful.
pleasure. Thank
weekend.
you.
I'm available for questions whenever you need to. And it'll be exciting after your first time, few times, if you want to, get in touch with your WOW group and say, hey, we're looking for volunteers. But like it could be, we're looking for gentlemen as well, because we need
Yeah,
more male role models for these. kids.
sure. Yeah.
Well, and I think
and-
it's the commitment of all the time that, makes people not want to do something too. So we have
Well-
other things we do. We do the food bank. We all go to the food bank twice a week, and
Right.
so there's a lot of things. So I think it's the commitment, like Ophelia was every single week. You had to do it every week.
But
Well,
there's a
but
lot of,
what
there's
you do-
a
we
lot of
only-
leeway.
we only require 8 times for the whole school year. So if you did
Mm,
other, it would be okay too.
Okay,
But
Yeah,
I
8
have
times,
to
yeah.
tell you, once somebody starts thinking and they're gonna come every other week, I can tell you, it becomes every week pretty quickly, because it's just so,
Well, you get involved with the children.
right.
yes,
right,
exactly,
right,
Yeah.
exactly. That makes a difference,
Right.
for a
We
lot of
loved doing,
people.
we loved Ophelia. We loved it. We loved it. We
Yeah.
loved it. But one of the main volunteers quit,
Yeah,
and she was supposed to be the leader of the 3 of us. And we didn't know how to do this. So
Right.
my girlfriend and I took turns every week, and we figured it out. And we love the girls. We were like sad when it was over.
yeah. They're middle schoolers, right?
These were
Mm-hmm.
high school girls.
Oh, these were high
High
school girls.
Yeah, yeah. So
Oh,
that
that
was
That was good
I-
mentoring high school girls.
a lot of sad stories, man. A lot of
Oh.
sad stories. I mean, it was during the pandemic. Anyway, it was it was better for us than for them, I think.
Yeah.
And I think that's what happens most of the time, yeah.
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 So
So, well, thank you so much. It was great.
thank you.
Sure, our pleasure, and thank you.
Thank you.
Great,
for
and I'll
putting
see
it all
you-
Together.
I'll
Yeah.
see you the first day you're volunteering.
Oh, wonderful.
Great,
Okay.
thank you.
I
Good.
won't wear shorts that day.
Great. Thanks. Take care.
All
Bye-bye.
right. Take care.
Bye-bye.